Hello, I'm John Rossi, a touring drummer with a love of all things animal. When I'm on the road, I visit as many zoos, aquariums... Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? Hey, what's going on there? Hello? Hello? We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you Rossifari Zoo news. News you can use from the world of zoos and conservation. Every week, we bring you breaking news and analysis from around the globe, featuring the animals you love and the people who care for them. And here's your anchorman, John Rossi.
Hi, hello, and hi, Zev, to all of my Dungeon Crawler Carl fans who are celebrating the release of Parade of Horribles. And to the rest of you, I guess. Yes, in case you don't know, there is a new book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series that dropped this week, and it is my favorite series ever so far, and I am loving the book, and I'm obsessed, and the audiobook is incredible, and if you haven't checked out Dungeon Crawler Carl, you really need to. Yes. I just needed to start the episode by saying that. So yes, hi, hello, and hi, Zev. Okay, we're done here. Back to the normal stuff. This is Rossifari Zoo News, your look at everything going on in the world of zoos, aquariums, conservation, and general animal weirdness. And of course, in my life. And so I guess it's, time for me to announce... Can't remember if I already said this or not, but to officially announce that I will be spending the summer kind of split between Pennsylvania and California. So I'm going to start off doing a night with Janis Joplin at Totem Pole Playhouse before heading to Mount Gretna to do the same show there. And then after a little bit of time off, I'll be heading out to California for a run of Great Balls of Fire later this summer before coming back to Totem Pole to play this is actually going to be interesting. I'm doing a Dolly Parton tribute act with a woman who is her name's Karen Hester, and she's famous for doing Dolly. Even Dolly loves her Dolly, and she has won television competitions and all kinds of crazy stuff with her Dolly. So it's really exciting, and I'm pretty stoked to be doing all of that. It's going to be a whole lot of time in the Harrisburg area this summer, which I always try to do when I can, because that means I get to be around Miles as well, which is incredibly important to me, obviously. And so that is what my summer's going to look like. I'm leaving for all of that the day that this comes out, that Friday. But I'm actually going to head down to Virginia for a couple of days before all of that. I'm doing some interviews at a couple facilities down there, including at least one new one. I'm still working out some of the details, but you'll be hearing all about that soon, and I'm sure it's going to be a great trip. Some of the interviews that are locked in are going to be just fantabulous. I'm really excited for them. So yeah, that's going to be fun. And then we'll be doing the mix of the drumming and the podcast and all the things like I do. So yeah, if you happen to be in Sonora, California, I think is where I'm going to be. So 2 hours north of San Francisco, roughly. Or if you're going to be in central Pennsylvania all this summer, let me know and come see a show, and maybe we can meet up. It'd be fun. So then, speaking of shows, the other thing that's going on right now in my life that's new is I'm writing a new show. A lot of you guys know that I have been touring my own show called Under the Sun, which has had its name changed by other people to things like $1 Million Experience, and I don't really care what we call it as long as we get to tour it. But yeah, now I'm working on a new show. The producer of Sun approached me and is partnered with another producer, and I can't talk publicly about it yet. But the first draft of the script is done, and it really looks like it's going to be a thing. So soon, I hope to have 2 shows that are touring, and we'll see what happens. But really, really excited about all of that. And then let's see, we talked Parade of Horribles, we talked gigs, we talked a new show. Oh yeah, that thing. I knew there was another thing. You know how I keep teasing you guys about the thing that I can't tell you about? Okay, well, I'm ready to tell you about it now. But unfortunately, I still can't. But things are going really well. I would say the probability of this very cool thing happening goes up every single week. And we're kind of in the home stretch of the me not being able to talk about it part. So very soon, I will have a very exciting update for y'all, and I can't wait to share it with you all. But before all of that happens, we should get to our regular Zoo News stuff. So obviously, something that I told y'all last week I'd be talking about this week is the swatting incidents that have been happening at zoos. And so that's going to be the major focus of this week's episode. And yeah, I have thoughts. Unsurprisingly, I have thoughts. And so, like always, I also want to hear what your thoughts are. So once you've listened to everything, let me know what you think. Oh, and last but not least, it might be too late by the time you hear this, but it also might not be. Make sure you go and sign up for my World Packers Ecuador trip, where we're going to go do some sea turtle conservation. Go do the thing, y'all. Go do the thing. Oh, that's not even last but not least, because we also have the Animals Anonymous Binturong fundraiser and the Safe Tree Kangaroo fundraiser going on as well. So make sure you're hitting up all of the Animals Anonymous social pages and buying art based on photos that I took of animals that I love that support organizations that I love. Okay, oh my gosh, this is so much, y'all. Enough. Let's talk about zoo stuff, shall we?
Well, it's 1 for the pandas, 2 for the bears, 3 for the monkeys. Now you should care. Now won't you listen to Zoo News? Or you could do anything, but why not listen to Zoo News? Well, it's
All right, so this week, the thing that we need to talk about is swatting and the swatting events that have been happening at zoos and aquariums across the country lately. So for those of you who don't know that term, you can probably guess, but swatting is the concept of calling in bomb threats or active shooter warnings to public places or to you can either call the place directly or you can call 911 and say it's happening. And then 911 will basically reach out to the facility for you. Both of those are considered swatting. And the goal seems to be to get them to evacuate, shut down, and have the SWAT team or other law enforcement called in. And that's actually where the name swatting came from, which I found interesting. I did not know that. So swatting, because they're trying to get the SWAT team to show up. And the way this works, it's kind of crazy. This is one of those technology being good and bad. You would think with all the tech out there that we'd be able to find out who was doing this and kind of prevent it. But now there's so much tech out on the other side of things that people can use caller ID spoofing software, voice over IP software, also known as VoIP, voice altering software, and more technology to get away with it. And as far as I can tell, unless the people doing this make a pretty big mistake with their tech, there isn't really anything that anyone can do about it, which is, frustrating. And obviously there are authorities that are working on it. But this seems to be unfortunately working out fairly well for the swatters. And so this whole series of swatting events for zoos and aquariums started a few weeks ago, and I was kind of hoping it was gone after the rash of them stopped. There were basically 2 major rashes of this happening, but just this morning, Thursday, May 14th, I woke up, okay, that's a lie. Just this afternoon on May 14th, I woke up to a new one having taken place at Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies. The announcement said it happened before operating hours and was deemed to be not credible. By my count, that makes 14 facilities that have received swatting events since the start of this, with a few of them receiving more than one swatting event. Most facilities that have had this happen have released public statements. Only 2 of the ones that I know about have chosen not to. One of those was Beardsley Zoo, and I'll say that because even though I didn't see any official statements from them, it was still reported on very heavily in the area, and people definitely know that it happened. But one of the facilities has actually managed to keep the whole thing under wraps, as far as I can tell, which I find absolutely incredible. I only know about it because someone at the facility told me about it directly as I was discussing these events with people. And I'm not going to say what facility it was because my guess is they want to keep it quiet to not encourage the people who did it or any copycats or anything like that. And while I think transparency is incredibly important in general, I also think that not fueling this fire is a good idea, which is why, to be honest, I actually debated talking about it on here at all. But this has been ongoing for weeks now, and at some point, y'all are just going to think it's weird if I don't. Plus, I really do trust that the people who listen to this podcast do so for the right reasons. And, you know, I like to put some faith in my audience because there's never been a reason not to. I've never regretted putting something out on this podcast because the good people are the ones listening to it. Y'all are good people. So yeah, so we're going to talk about it. But you know, first I just want to try to figure out, I guess I have, like I said, I have a lot of thoughts here, but one of the first things I've been trying to figure out is if this is just happening to zoos and aquariums or if this is part of a wider trend of swatting incidents. And it turns out that swatting is up in the US in general. And on one of the days when multiple zoos got swatted, a few malls were swatted as well. Some of the journalists who have been writing about the trend seem to think that all of this is connected, while others think that it's a coincidence that, you know, malls and stuff were targeted on the same day. Because again, like I said, swatting is up in the United States in general. So I've been going back and forth on whether I think it's just the increase in swatting in general, or whether it is specifically targeting zoos and aquariums. But as I've been looking at more data, it really does seem like zoo and aquarium swattings are happening a lot more than other swattings. And I'm getting sick of saying swattings. I apologize if you're getting sick of hearing it. But yeah, it seems like this is happening more to zoological facilities than to other places, even if the numbers are up overall. And all of the facilities that I know about that have been swatted are AZA accredited facilities. And, you know, you may remember actually that from last week, I did mention that I reached out to the AZA for comment. And the current feeling there is that it's not the time to really dig into what's happening and give it more publicity, which I do understand and appreciate. And I'm sure they are still working on fully coming up with a response to this and a plan and all of that. Which again, kind of made me wonder if I should be doing this, but at the same time, I feel like I have to. And part of why I feel that is that I don't actually think that this is a particularly effective way to, you know, try to hurt zoos and aquariums overall. And we'll get into that more. But so, yeah, I guess the big question obviously becomes, why are people doing this? And obviously there are a few possible answers. People might just think it's funny. It's a prank. This kind of thing used to be something that was done just as a fun prank. And there's still some evidence that a lot of the people in general that do swatting, do this at malls and stuff, are just doing it as a prank. They think it's funny and they get to watch their results on the news and all of that stuff. But it's also obviously very possible that this could be the anti-zoo and aquarium crowd doing a coordinated attack. There's also the possibility that someone did it once and it got a lot of attention, so then other people decided to do it as well, with either or both of those first two potential motivations that I mentioned as their reasoning, right? It's not like we know that this is some big conspiracy theory. I don't think there's a, quote, animal rights activists group out there that if you go to their, you know, private forums or whatever, you'll find schedules and planning and all of that. I could be wrong, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like that's what's going on from what I know. I'm not part of the investigation, though, so who knows? But yeah, there are many reasons that this could be happening, and I don't know what they are fully. Like, I don't know which of those they are, and unless we catch the people that are doing this, we simply won't know. So I guess that leads to the next question, which is, what does something like this even accomplish? Well, the facilities in question have consistently evacuated and had law enforcement come in to sweep the zoo or aquarium. Some facilities have remained closed for the remainder of the day, while other facilities have chosen to reopen after getting the all clear. So that's, you know, it's certainly a disruption on a financial level, but it's not a huge one. Facilities budget with the expectation of having days with basically no visitors, as things like rain and snow keep people away from zoos, and even beautiful days can lower attendance at aquariums. closing for months hurt a lot of facilities during like COVID, but a day or two here or there, nah, that's kind of built into the budget. And then there's the impact on the staff. And I'm sure that at first, keepers and others at the facilities were terrified. I can't even imagine what it's like getting a bomb threat when you're at a facility. But now the zoological world at large knows that this is happening. And my guess is that if this happens at any facilities, the staff will mostly, honestly roll their eyes. Though I will say, I think a lot of them are also looking at it as an opportunity to test their emergency procedures, right? It's basically a third-party drill at that point. And I think most people at these facilities don't see it as anything else because they know what's going on. And yeah, maybe that sounds, I don't know, a little cynical. But no one that I have talked to about these incidents, whether it happened at their facility or whether they're just aware of it and wondering when it will happen at their facility or if it will happen at their facility, is actually worried about the threat anymore. They're worried about the disruption to their day and being annoyed at their feeding schedules getting thrown off and all of that stuff. And to be super clear, everyone I've talked to said they do still take it very seriously because you have to, right? And they do all the right things. But yeah, there's the fear is gone for a lot of the people, actually for everyone that I've talked to. No one is at all freaked out anymore at what's going on, which I find fascinating, but it makes sense, right? I mean, at some point, it's the boy who cried wolf, and that's what we're seeing. And I was going to make some kind of weird wolf joke there, but we love wolves, so yeah. Anyway, I think the people who might be the most affected by any of these individual swatting events are the guests who are there that day, because I'm guessing that most of them don't keep up on the latest in zoo news, and they might not be aware of the issue. So when they're told to evacuate, they might be scared. It might be scary. I'm especially thinking of children on field trips who suddenly find themselves needing to be evacuated by chaperones whose main qualifications are adult, not working that day, and haven't actively abused a child. If those kids and those adults don't know what's actually going on with the swatting events, then I could see this being scary for them to go through. But even then, the fear will mostly be mitigated as soon as they learn about what's going on. And again, I'm not at these places, so I can't confirm this, but my assumption is that it's not like as the zoo evacuates or aquarium evacuates, they're screaming, "Oh my God, there's a bomb, everybody get out, ah!" I'm sure they do it in a very coordinated way, and while it's still scary, because, it's out of the norm, I'm guessing that it's not as big of a deal even to those people as the swatters are hoping. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I don't really get what the goal is here anymore. But it's been good to see zoos and both the AZA and ZAA responding to the threat. The AZA planned a webinar with staff members from facilities that have been swatted to discuss the events and what they suggest moving forward. Unfortunately, the details of the webinar leaked to the general public, and they had to cancel it because they were worried that people doing the swatting or interested in doing the swatting would be able to watch and learn from the webinar. If it has been rescheduled, it's been kept very tight-lipped because I usually get to know these things as a member of the AZA. But I know that they either did reschedule it or they're planning to in the future. And I hope that works out. And I hope that they are able to share some good information there. The ZAA, in the meantime, has stepped up with a post on Facebook offering resources to any zoological facility that may experience swatting, including links from the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and more. It's a pretty comprehensive list, and I especially appreciate that they jumped on this, despite the fact that it seems like only AZA zoos are being targeted right now, though to be fair, Columbus is accredited by both. But to my knowledge, no just ZAA or unaccredited facilities have had these issues. Although, again, we might not know all of them. Because even one of the big AZA ones has been kept quiet, which I think is pretty incredible. So I really like seeing the ZAA step up in that way, and I'm really glad that the AZA is trying to take this seriously and help out their members. So at the end of the day, if it seems like I'm downplaying the seriousness of these events, I truly don't mean to be. I just don't really think they are a big deal anymore, outside of the people that are visiting that day and have to miss out or may be scared because they don't know what's happening in the moment. This is definitely the type of thing that has a major element of diminishing returns to it. So I'm hoping it just becomes something that fades away and then maybe every once in a while pops up. I mean, I hope it doesn't, but, that would be better than these kind of continuing rashes of this happening. A lot of facilities that have been victims have announced an increase in security or police presence in the days following the threats, but, I can't imagine that's the main goal of the swatters. So hopefully this will just continue to fade and become a thing that, happens from time to time, but less and less as time goes on. Tom Schmidt, the president and CEO of the Columbus Zoo, said of the incidents that, and I quote, "This is part of life right now around the country, around the world, and so we have to make sure we're vigilant." And I think that's a perfect summary of what's up. This is a thing, at least for now, so zoos and aquariums will be vigilant and then continue about their business, exactly as they should.
Stereotypical animal podcast theme song. Here to bring you to conservation news.
Okay, well, we are clearly doing some deep dives every week in zoo news right now. So with that story having gone so long, I guess instead of doing a bunch of quick ones, I will do a couple of smaller dives, some snorkels, if you will, on some of the other stories that I've been following this week. The other one that was like a real biggie this week has been the story about a man who attacked a Hawaiian monk seal known as Laney. The dude, whose full name has more Y's in it than an entire class about existentialism, so I'm not going to even try it, is 38 years old, and his first name is Igor. I can say that part. The story of this all started when a video of Igor went viral because he decided to throw a rock at a monk seal that was kind of on the edge of the water near the beach. He was visiting in Hawaii. I believe he was in Maui. And to be super clear, the seal was just relaxing. It didn't do anything. It didn't attack. It wasn't even like making noise. Not that that would have been an excuse for what this dude did. But the poor monk seal was just existing in the water when the dude threw a rock at it. And look, I get it. Religion isn't my favorite thing either, but sorry. I tried to keep this light because as I was working on this, I watched the video 10 times to get more information. And I just want to scream and cry and kill that guy and not literally don't, arrest me. But yeah, it's just frustrating. So I have to joke a little bit. But the good news here is that the entire event was caught on video. And when the person filming pointed out that it is illegal to do what he was doing, Igor responded by saying something along the lines of, "So what? Fine me. I'm rich. I can afford it." Dummy. Well, karma showed up quickly while the tourist was still in Hawaii, when a local man saw Igor and beat him up. Dude got straight up pummeled. And of course, violence is never the answer. And because of that, the state of Hawaii stepped in and wait a minute. What's this? The dude wasn't jailed for beating Igor up. He was awarded a letter of recognition by Republican State Senator Brenton Awa. Welp. I guess that's one way to teach a dude not to, throw a rock at a monk seal. But that's not the only way Igor has been taught this lesson so far. Authorities detained and questioned him before releasing him. But just today, actually, as I had already started recording this, word broke that federal agents have arrested and charged him with multiple crimes. He's been charged under both the Endangered Species Act and the Marine Mammal Protection Act. If convicted, and the video could not be more clear, he faces up to 1 year in prison for each charge, plus fines that could total $70,000. And I do need to pause here for a moment to point out that both of those laws are currently in the process of being gutted and possibly sundowned by the Trump administration. So if that were to happen, there would actually be nothing to charge this man with. Which I think is a really important point here because, obviously those laws are important for a lot of reasons, but people on all sides of the aisle and people who just have hearts and care, have been really riled up about this. This has been big news all over the place. And I think it's really worth mentioning just how badly it would go if these laws weren't around anymore for this situation and for obviously, so many others. But yeah, overall though, I love this story. I mean, I hate the beginning of it, but it kind of reminds me of the Sloth World thing where a whole bunch of concerned parties who don't really have any power on their own came together to right a wrong. The fact that there was filming, the fact that the dude got beat up, the fact that multiple federal agencies had to step in. It's good stuff, all that for one monk seal. I'm here for it. And speaking of Sloth World, that actually brings us to our last story this week, which is another update on that entire situation. And this is one of those stories that can make you cheer and then also question everything all over the span of 1 week. So we're going to start with the good stuff. The state legislature of Florida has announced a 60-day ban on the import of sloths following the Sloth World investigation and the amazing advocacy work done by our friends Sam and Becky in Florida for the Sloth Institute and Sloth Conservation Foundation. Now, obviously, 60 days is a temporary ban, but it is a great start. So, of course, the goal is now to keep fighting for a permanent ban. But again, this is a great start. And the fact that the legislature enacted this so quickly after the Sloth World situation is a huge win. Government in this country is meant to be slow and deliberative. And so when things happen this quickly, it is amazing to see. And again, I just need to point out that everyone in the organizations involved with all of this should be so darn proud of themselves for the work they've done and, continue to do. So that is the good side of this. And I am for one super excited about it. But of course, Florida gonna Florida. So you may remember that all of the remaining sloths were transferred to the Central Florida Zoo from Sloth World. And if you don't remember that, then I've done a terrible job the last couple of weeks. So I hope you remembered that. 13 sloths were suddenly brought into the facility with all of the costs associated with that endeavor. And obviously, we are talking about huge veterinary costs as none of the sloths were in good shape, with 3 having already died, right? So it's not even just 13 new animals that you're caring for and feeding and making your staff work with and all that stuff. We're talking about the veterinary costs, the drug costs, all of those things. There's a lot going on there. Well, the same legislature that seems to understand that the Sloth World fiasco was a disaster and moved quickly to temporarily, at least, prevent it from happening again, is now also considering cutting proposed funding to the Central Florida Zoo. Current budget negotiations are underway, and there had been a discussion of the state sending $750,000 to the zoo to modernize its infrastructure and make sure it is able to maintain AZA accreditation. Now, I need to point out this was on the table before the Sloth World stuff, had nothing to do with it, no quid pro quo, nothing like that. As a matter of fact, legislators are now proposing to cut that funding down to $500,000, even at a time when the zoo has taken on unexpected costs due to the sloths that were transported there. It's honestly mind-boggling to me that they're considering this, especially given that the Central Florida Zoo is literally a beloved national hero right now. I just hope the government comes to its senses and helps out what is a truly remarkable zoo at a time when they are working so hard to help with a crisis situation that the government itself allowed to happen. When you think about it in those terms, it's pretty obvious that the government should be helping out the Central Florida Zoo right now as much as they need, not no half measures. So yeah, I hope that comes to pass. But overall, that's a bunch of really exciting stuff. So yeah, not bad. The Sloth World story started off so bad, but man, there have been a lot of good feels since then, huh?
Animal, animal, animal holidays. Animal, animal, animal holidays.
All right, and that brings us to our animal holidays for the week. So May is National Duckling Month, National Lake Cleanup Month, and No Mow May. And my No Mow May is thriving. My yard looks incredible right now. And by incredible, I mean wildly overgrown, and bugs are loving it, which is all that matters to me. So then for the individual days, the 15th is Endangered Species Day. The 16th is National Sea Monkey Day, International Sun Bear Day, National River Cleanup Day, and the start of Safe Boating Week. The 17th is Harbor Porpoise Day and starts Bear Awareness Week. The 20th is World Bee Day and National Rescue Dog Day. And then, of course, May 21st is the most important day of all of May. It is, of course, World Tree Kangaroo Day. And I know I don't have to remind you all of this, but in case I do, the Crunchathon is currently live, y'all. It's happening right now. We've had over 20 facilities send in videos. And I would say that the worst one is a 10 out of 10, and the best ones are mathematical impossibilities. They're so great. So make sure that you're following along. I've been sharing some of them on the Rossifari page, but I also want to encourage people to follow at Tree Kangaroo Safe. So make sure you're doing that and you're following along for the official Crunchathon. It's so much fun. Go watch those videos. Get your ASMR. It's time for some Tree Kangaroo love, y'all. All right, so there you have it, folks. Another episode of Rossifari Zoo News is in the books. Like I said, there are so many things to be considering right now. Please remember to join the WhatsApp group for my Ecuador trip. Please remember the Safe Tree Kangaroo fundraiser that we're doing with Animals Anonymous right now, and the Binturong conservation thing that's happening as well there. Get shirts and sweatshirts and all the things of tree kangaroos and binturongs featuring my photography and supporting organizations I really care about. So yeah, that's really, all of those are really important. And hey, look, if you don't think you can go to Ecuador, but you have WhatsApp and you're willing to hop in that group anyway, it actually is going to make a huge difference for me and could be the difference between making this trip happen or not. So I'd love to see you in that group. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's it's all that stuff. There's so much going on right now. And I can't tell you, I'm so freaking excited about that. I can't wait to be able to tell you. I'm sorry to keep teasing it. I know a few of you have written and been like, you're killing me, but I'm gonna keep killing you until I can tell you, and I promise you it will be worth it. Okay, cool. So before I get going, do remember that you can also support the pod for as little as $3 a month. Patreon.com/Rossifari. Thank you to all of my patrons, including my Red Panda level patrons: Dr. Laura Shank, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, Jenny Owens, Melissa Reed, Carrie Kirkpatrick, John Lewis, who is also here for stickers, Kevin Williams, and Cormac McMuffin. Meow. And of course, even though I haven't done a normal episode in a while, I am still tracking everybody who sends me things. So thank you to Anya Keene, Colleen Linehan, Kim Cooley-Croninger, Carrie Kirkpatrick, Kevin Williams, Emily Rockbug, Dr. Natalie Taco, Tran Hanton, Dr. Laura Shank, Ren Howell, Jacob Zinn, Holly Page, Nikki Morley, Ethan Ferguson, Dr. Zoe Rossi, Barbara Bennett, Ken Tryon, Marianne Rossi, and Yoshioka. Ali Malensky, Kay Malensky. The Malenskys. April Taylor, Daniel Cohen, Kelly Palawi, Rowena White, Zach Poe, Crystal Chapman, Jamie Chavez, Kristen Khalil, Maddie Pats, Jennifer Zune, Becca Robinson, Strix, Michael Sebastian, Melissa Kinney, Rick Schwartz, Sierra Bowen, Sam Evans, Stephen Rossi, and Nicole Lee. Thank y'all so much for contributing. Super appreciate y'all. We'll be back here on Tuesday for a brand new interview episode. And until then, remember, friends, the words Newsy credits backwards are Steider Kiswen.
The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.